All right, War of the Ring. I am at the end of turn three, and we have the Fellowship has not made any progress, mainly because I didn't roll any character dice on turn two. I did have a Will of the West, but I did not use it. I changed tactics then, which wasn't a bad deal because the Shadow player put one die in the hunt box, rolled two other eyes, so they had three in there. So I had a lot of musters, and so I used the musters to bring. We have Rohan at war. We have the elves nearly at war, and yeah, so it's looking pretty good in terms of the nations going to war. So I had a lot of muster die. I mustered a lot of the Rohirrim, and so there's quite a few Rohan troops on the board. So it's going to be very difficult for Saruman to knock Rohan out as they did historically. Gondor's one space away. Gandalf here could activate him, but really there's not a lot of use for him to do that because the Shadow player has two big armies ready to slam into him. Probably one's going to slam into him, one's going to head off perhaps this way. Up here, another big Sauron army is heading, to Lothlorien. And also, there was a card that allowed the Shadow player that allowed them to put some regulars, beefing up Moria and Mount Gundabard. So that makes them more difficult for the Free People's players to take. Seeing as how the Free Peoples are playing, this is a good move. You want to always look out to protect your fortresses. Now, Dol Guldar's now empty, and they're maybe a little worried about it, but it's going to take, if the elves activate, it's going to take them 3 moves to get here. If they start on that path, well, the Shadow player can either move back with his army, or he can recruit some elite units and troops there as well. Is not terribly worried about that. The Easterlings and Southrons have a big army here. However, they're still 2 spaces away from war. He's got to think about getting them into war too. But right now, the military game's playing so fast. There's nothing happening with the Fellowship that this means that the Shadow player has to play fast in the military game. They have to really get their troops built up and start moving before the Free People's player can really get going with their military. So it's kind of one of those deals. There were one of the things I remember, one of my buddies has a second edition game, and now I remember one of the things I did like about the second edition is the cards are actually bigger, because these are, I think I said earlier, my eyesight's good. It's gotten a little worse, but I was always 20/20 vision. But they're getting where I actually have, embarrassingly enough, a magnifying glass to read these things sometimes. So yeah, definitely. I don't, I don't know. We all get old, so I like that. The other change, now that I think about it, is the Nazgul minis are changed. And I like these older Nazgul, though. I know they can knock down sometime. I haven't really never had a problem with them, but if they do fall over, they tend to wipe the armies out. The other thing it had was army boxes, I'm pretty sure. So you could put an army marker out with your big stacks and put your minis in like an army box. I'm pretty sure it had that when we played with his set. So, a couple of things to look at. All right, going into this, we're going to go into turn 4. Just going to keep the turn track marker up here. So we're at turn 4. Shadow player hasn't recorded any victory points, nor has the Fellowship player. Fellowship player, though, like their hunt, like I said, they are 0 on the movement for the hunt. So this is as far as they are. They are in that region. And, usually they're much further along. So that's a concern for the Fellowship. Yeah, they're looking better militarily. It's hard to win just playing defense, though. is the Fellowship. If you want to go for a military victory, you need to attack. And right now, the Shadow player is set up pretty well to defend against most things. So, anyway, the other thing, the Witch King came on. Since pretty much everyone was active, except maybe the dwarves. Well, actually, Gondor wasn't active, but, you know, they're going to attack them. They're going to be active anyway soon. The Shadow player brought on the Witch King. He's really potent. I mean, he's a powerful guy, and he gives you another dice. So, you know, I'm feeling pretty good as the Shadow player here at this point. I wouldn't put any dice in here at this point as the Shadow player, but I think you have to put one. I think you do. I could be wrong about that. I think in the second edition, I don't think there's a rule in this edition to do it. But I think that's like a balancing thing they did in the second edition. Maybe I'll look that up online at some point. So I'm going to leave one in here. Otherwise, I wouldn't put any in there because, you know, war is happening now. It's more important that the Shadow player have dice to muster, to attack. That's really what they're looking for. Let's see what we get here. Okay, we got one eye there. Any more eyes? No. So we got a couple characters. We got a muster, 2 armies, and an army muster. So that's a pretty good spread for them. They like that that dealio. Oh, we have to draw cards here too. Let me do that. And 2. Okay. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so the Free People's player are going to have to discard a card. They were planning, actually, they figured the Shadow player would attack them here, and they had a combat card, so they weren't planning on having to discard a card, but it hasn't worked out, so they'll have to discard. Well, let's see what the Free People's roll, if they get some more character. They do get a couple of characters. They get this Pelagreer. They don't like those. A Will of the West and a Muster. You know, maybe not their ideal role at this point, but it's not bad. I mean, it's not bad. The Pelagreer probably didn't help them a whole lot. So there's only 2 dice in the hunt box, though, so they can definitely take advantage if they want to really push the Fellowship at this point. However, they haven't done it yet. You know, and they've been more interesting in building their military up to hold off. And, you know, maybe they want to do a little bit of both here. You know, usually if you do a little bit of both, you don't do anything well, but I don't know, maybe they will. So, all right, I'll discard a card from here, and I'll play turn 4.